Access on it was. So before I start, any query from your end? So before I start, any query from your end? Right. At least before I close the batch, ask 1 or 2 questions. Chalo, okay. So we'll go ahead with
Satish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Satish. Actually, I have a doubt on batch. Actually, there is one custom metadata component. Okay, how would I pass the data to write a test class? I'm writing a test class for a batch. How would I pass the data into custom metadata component, Satish?
Custom metadata component.
Yes.
What do you mean by custom metadata component?
There is something like custom metadata, Satish, and which are like, and we'll find some records there, and they do not have record IDs for that.
See, you mean to say these custom metadata types?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you can write a SQL query and get the data.
Yeah, but how will I pass the data? I mean, for a test to write a test class into that.
There's a separate procedure. Just drop a mail. I'll send you the sample code.
Sure, Satish. I will. Yeah, thank you.
Let's go to the next process. I hope everybody is good with the topics. What you have done? Triggers, batch effects, schedule effects. People are comfortable with that, right? For your interview, these are the major topics. For surviving in the company, list set map. Okay, wrapper class is very important. For interview, trigger, batch effects, schedule effects, custom settings. Okay, few questions on, limited questions on custom settings. They are there. SQL and email, there's a fixed question. 10 questions are there. But batch effects, schedule effects, trigger, they have more number of questions will be asked on this, scenario based. But you want to survive in the company, without losing the job, list set map wrapper, it should be strong. Okay. So let us go back. Now we'll be starting today about the test classes. You're supposed to write today. I've not updated this. Okay. So we'll be going with the test classes for the day. How to define the test classes? What is the need of writing a test class? First of all, what is the need of writing a test class? Any Apex code that you want to deploy from one environment to another environment, any Apex code you want to deploy from one environment to another environment, we go for test classes. Now, every Apex code that you want to deploy from one environment to another environment need to be tested, and they need to get a test code coverage of 75%. Then only they can be deployed. Any Apex code you want to deploy from one environment to another environment need to be tested, and they should have a test coverage of 75%. Then only they can be deployed. So what do you mean by this testing? I wrote a class with a logic. When I run that method, whether the logic is running properly or not, I have to check it. When I run the class, I have to check whether logic is running properly or not. So let us see a quick example. I had a class like this. Public string public void. When I call this method, name equal to Satish. This is the class. What will happen when you call me? When you call me, name should be set as Satish, city should be set as Hyderabad. Name should be set as Satish, city should be set as Hyderabad. Am I right? Name should be Satish, city should be Hyderabad. Name should be Satish, city should be Hyderabad. Now, if I want to test whether this is running or not, whether this is running properly or not, what I will do? I will create an object. Then I call me method. After calling the call me method, whether the value of the name is Satish or not, I will check it out. After calling this method, name should be modified as Satish, city should be modified as Hyderabad. Now look at this test class. All the test classes should be at the rate of. It's a good practice to put the class as private, not mandatory. It's a good practice. At the rate of each test. How do you define a methods? At the rate of. Test classes will have only test methods. Test classes will have only test method. At the rate of each test, static, void, some method name. I give method name as test. So every test class will have at the rate of each test. Test method will have at the rate of each test. What is the keyword? Static, void, test. Now tell me which one you want to test. You want to test a function. You want to test a method in the Apex class, right? Which one you want to test? You are supposed to test method in the Apex class. Whichever the class method you want to test it. Whichever the method, whichever the Apex class you want to test it, create a object for the class. Then which method you want to test it? So if you call me method, what should happen? The data in the class should be modified. Am I right? Now whichever the class you want to test it, create a object for the class. Whichever the method you want to test it, call that method. When you say object.method, that method has to perform some logic. If the method is running properly, logic will run properly. Am I right? If the method is running properly, whatever the logic I wrote, if it is working properly, then what is the value? System.asset equals. What do you mean by asset equals? Compare. What is the value we are expecting? We are expecting a value called Satish. But what is the actual value? After calling the method, what is the actual value? This is the actual value of the name. But what is the value we are expecting? Satish. If the actual value and value what I expected, both of them are same, it will be true. Right. Then run the test. You have an option here. Run the test. Then go to the class which you tested. What is the class we tested here? Apex exam. Go and see what is the code coverage you got here. 100% code coverage. Now when you call a method will perform particular logic. If the logic is working properly, this is the output what I was supposed to get. I created a method saying that this method will perform this so-and-so logic and make the following changes. If that method is working properly, the following changes should be made on the data. Then I'm going to call the data and see what is the current data what we have. Are we getting the data as per the modification or not? As per the required modification or not? I hope you have got my point. When you call the method will make some changes. When you call the method will make some changes. Okay, then call the method and see whether those changes happen properly or not. When you call a method will make some changes. Call the method and see whether the changes are made properly or not. If the changes are made properly, yes. If the changes are made properly, yes, the method is working properly. I hope you got my point. People are good with this, right? So let me give you an example. Write a test class for this. Now, write a test class for this. Write a test class for this. Is this what you are supposed to test? Then, if it is working fine, if everything is running fine, it should be system dot asset equals banking hot public. The value of so we have banking hot. If that method is working properly, the value of the industry should be modified as banking. Value of rating should be modified as hot. Value of ownership should be modified as public. If the method is working properly, industry should be banking, rating should be hot, ownership should be public. I hope you are good with this. So run the test class. Check the code coverage. This is how we got it. I hope you are good. People are good with this? Now let us go to the next one. Let us go to the next one. I hope everyone is good with this. Now, public void if industry equal to banking, this is what I give. If industry equal to banking, rating equal to hot, amount equal to 10,000. Else, rating equal to warm, amount equal to 50,000. This is what I was supposed to create. There is a if-else condition. When there is a if-else condition, both the conditions I have to test it. If there is a if-else condition, I have to test both the conditions. If-else condition. Now let us see how I will build this functionality. Everyone look at this example. Right. This is what we got. Which class you want to test it? Apex. This is what I have created. Now, look at the context. If I want to test the method call me, I should know the value of industry, right? Unless I set the value of industry, the logic will not run. So I have taken a dot energy. A dot energy. A dot industry equal to energy. Then I told A dot. When you call the method call me. When you call the method call me, what is supposed to happen? If industry equal to energy, condition is verified. If industry is energy, condition is false. Rating should be warm, amount should be 50,000. If the logic is running properly, system dot asset warm, if A dot industry if industry is banking. Now look at the part. I'm only checking one condition. Industry equal energy called. Called what happened? Else condition. If condition is false, else is coming. Then else I told, if I call A dot call me warm 50,000. Run the logic. Did you get my point? If industry equal energy, rating is warm, amount is 50,000. Run the logic and see the code coverage. Look at this. Only this is covered. If is not covered, you only tested what condition? Else condition. If condition is not tested, there is a reason we got code coverage as 66%. Now, if this is if else, both the conditions we have to test it. So I gave A dot industry equal to Then A dot call me. Hot 10,000. Run it. Look at this. What is the code coverage you got? 100%. So if there's a if-else condition, if condition I have to check it, else condition also I have to check it. If there's a if-else condition, if condition I have to test it, else condition also I have to test it. I hope you got my point. Clear? So let me create one example here. If read source equal to web. Yes. Complete this example. Define it. Let us see how to define it. I can also define the test class like this. Test method, static, void. Instead of at the rate, we can also define like this. Apex example AE equal to new Apex example. Apex example AE equal to new Apex example. Apex example AE equal to new Apex example. Then AE dot lead source. If the lead source is web, lead source is web, last name, first name. Now A dot, if lead source is email, we had help. If lead source equal to web, then call the show method. Last name is Maida, first name is Satish. If lead source is email, call the method show. Last name is KL, first name is Pradeep. This is how we got it. Last name, first name. Depends upon the lead source, the value is going to be verified. Right? If the lead source is web, if condition is met. If lead source is other than web, else condition is met. So go to the, I hope you are good with this. People are comfortable with this if else condition. Right. Now let us go to the DML operation. Let us go to the DML operation. How to define the DML operation? Let us see. Public. We had contact CON equal to CON dot last name equal to the contact last name, first name, phone, insert. So what was the functionality here? Whatever the data you are given, with the help of the data, we are going to create. Then I have, okay, first let me finish off this. We are trying to insert the data. Whatever the data we are given with the information, we are getting a new contact. Whatever the information you are given with that information, we are trying to create a new contact. Let us test it. New. So how you define it? Test class it. Is test. We can give anything. I can give any name of my choice. So method should be static. Return type is always void. Method should not contain any parameters. Static. Return type is void. No parameters. Static. Return type is void. No parameters. Then here what I'm doing, you are supposed to test Apex example 5. Now here I need to mention a few technical points here. The technical points are any changes that you make on the data from the test class, they will not be committed. Any changes that you make on the database from the test class, they will not be committed because it's only testing. That should not alter the data in the database. Any changes that you make on the data using a test class, that will not be committed. So if I am trying to attempt a new record, that will be inserted, tested, immediately they are removed. They are not committed. They are only saved. They are not committed. They are only saved. Once the operation is completed, the record will be deleted. Okay. Now, if you want to do that, what is that? A dot. A.4. Now, test class will assume that there is no data in the database. Now I gave last name, first name 4. Then I called a method called create. Test class will assume that there is no data in the database. So whatever the record that is getting created now, it is the first record. Test class will assume that in the contact object there is no data. Whatever the record we are trying to create now, that is the first record. Whatever the record we are trying to create, that is the first record. So what I do, once I call a.create, what will happen here? Create is going to create one new contact. So write the code. Contact where if the record is created successfully, then I have to get a count equal to 1. If that method was running properly, there should be one new contact created with last name Maila, first name Satish. Am I right or wrong? If the create was running successfully, one new contact record should be inserted into database. If the create method is running successfully, one new record should be created with the last name as Maila, first name as Satish. Then I told after calling, write a SQL query to get count of number of records where last name equal to AE dot last name, first name equal to AE dot first name. Because the database will assume that there is only 0 records. Now, if this is creating the first record, so what will happen? System dot set. We are expecting a count equal to 1. I hope you are good. I can see. I hope you got. I hope you got my point, right? So when you call this method, we are expecting one contact to be created. Now, after calling the method, we are calling this. After calling the method, we are checking did the new contact is created with the following data or not. When I call this method, okay, is the new contact created with the following data or not? I verify. I hope you are good with this. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? Clear? Clear for everyone? Okay. Now let us take one more example. You people try to achieve this. Now, test this method. Then Apex example 6. A dot. When you create, what should happen? I can also write in this way. Opportunity. Right. How many records you get? You get only one record because test class will assume that there is no data in the database. This is how I am giving. People are good with this. People are good with this. I can give count or this. Anything is okay. I can put these things in the where condition, check the count. I can put this in the where condition, check the count. Or else I can write a query. I can write a query and get the values and verify it. I just want to convey that we can check it out. At the end of the game, we want to cross check whether new opportunity is created with the following data or not. Whether you are going to write them in the where condition or you are going to write a query, then check it out. This is how we are going to check. I hope you are good with this, either the previous way or this way. Now, try to understand the point. It's an insert, no problem. If you are trying to now, if you are trying to test the opportunity, update operation, or you want to test a delete operation, how will you test? Now, how will you test it? If it is a insert, I can check whether the record is inserted or not. If you want to test whether update is happened or not, data should be there in database. But your test class will assume that there is no data. Your test class will assume that there is no data. When the test class assumes that there is no data, then how will you test it? Your test class will assume that there is no data, then how will you test it? Your test class will assume that there is no data, then how will you test it? Are you getting my point here? Your test class will assume that there is no data, then how will you test it? That's how we are supposed to create test data. By using what? At the rate of test setup. We are going to create at the rate of test setup. I can create a test data. The same data can be tested by multiple methods. Okay. Are you getting my point here? Are you getting my point here? Now you want to test it. If you want to test it, look at the point. Listen to the context carefully. I will also explain why should I go for test setup. My requirement is public void This is the motherboard payload. If you want to test this, how do you test it? Now, what is the test method doing? Fetching the data from database, trying to perform update. Now, where is the data? Test class will assume that there is no data. Test class will assume that there is no data. Test class will assume that there is no data, right? So what I'm doing, if I want to test it, first I have to create a sample data. Because the test class is assuming that there is no data. I have created a record. Now, how many records are there? One record. How many records are there? One record. Now, I'm creating Apex example 7. Then A dot. When you call me, when you apply, call me, what it is doing? Fetching all the accounts which are in the database, then modifying the rating equal to hot. After applying call me, then write a SQL query, account A equal to select ID, comma. Now what I'm doing, boss, already in the database there is one account. After creating the sample data, I call me. What the call me will do? Go to the account object, get me all the accounts, modify the rating equal to hot. Then how I am testing? I wrote a SQL query. I told get me the data of account whose ID is acc.id. Get me the record. After getting that record, check if the method is running properly. What is the value of rating? If the method is working properly, the value of rating is, see, I call A.call.me. What that A.call.me is doing? Fetching all the account records, modifying the rating equal to hot. So after calling the call me method, value of rating should be what? Hot. The existing data, whatever the existing data is there, the existing data rating should be modified as hot. So what did I do? I wrote a SQL query and found what is the value of rating. If rating equal to hot, yes, call me method is running properly. Am I right or no? What the call me method is doing? Get me all the account records, modify them into hot. Now I called a call me method. Then I told get the record from database, check the value of rating. If rating equal to hot, yes, call me method is working properly. Run the test class. What do we got here? 100% code coverage. Similarly, I have list of account. Get me all the account records whose industry is energy. Delete those accounts. Get me all those account records whose industry is energy. Delete those account records. Now, if I want to test this, I am writing one more method at the rate of each test. Static void. Now, if I want to test this method, what should happen? There should be one account record whose industry is energy. Already, if there is an account in the database with the industry called energy, when I call this method, I will see whether record is still existing or not existing. Am I right or not? Whether the deletion is done properly or not, how do you check it? In the database, I should have one record with industry equal to energy. After calling this method, that record should be deleted. If the record is deleted, then I say, yes, this operation is running properly. Then what should I do? Create sample data. Create sample data. Same story. What is the name of the method? After calling invoke, whatever the account record is there with industry equal energy, this account record should be deleted. Then I'm calling it industry equal to system dot why your invoke method says get me all the account records whose industry is energy, get me all the records whose industry is energy, delete them. So when I say invoke method, it is going to get all the account records whose industry is energy, delete them. How many accounts I have? There is one account. After calling invoke, what will happen? This account record will be deleted. How many records are there? 0 records. I hope you are good, right? So if you want to perform delete operation or update operation, what should happen? Now both the methods are tested. Every method should be tested. If you are performing DML operations of update or delete, first we require a sample data. Now every time I want to perform, I cannot create a sample data like this. Instead of this, what I can do? I can go with at the rate of test. So I have created a sample data. Like this, I created a sample data. Instead of defining again and again, I created the sample data once. The same sample data I am using in multiple methods. Are you clear about this? I hope you are good. Previously, I have created a separate for every test method. Now, the sample data I have created on the top, the same sample data I am using for multiple. So, what was this called? Creating a sample data for the test class. We can use at the rate of test setup, so that the same sample data can be used by multiple test methods. I hope you are clear with this. Have you got the story? Am I clear? So, it's what? Test data. Test factory, test data or test factory. Now, I hope everybody has followed this requirement. Clear for everyone? Let me create one more example. Everyone can test this. Optimist. Property optimist. Update optimist. public void. Public void show. Wait. Now write the test class for this. If you want to write a test class for this, first you are supposed to create text factory. First create a test data. How do you create? Create a test data. What was that? Then I was supposed to give test create. You're supposed to create a dummy data. You're performing the operation on what? Opportunity. This is how you're creating. So we have taken our opportunity. Now start writing the test class for this. At the rate of test setup for test data, then write the remaining test class. Test setup. Write the test class for this. Basic structure if you follow, rest you can go ahead. So I'm defining here. So what is that? Stage name should be modified as closed one. Close date should be today. Then we are testing. What is the class? Apex example 8. A dot call. When you call this, opportunities which are existing, their opportunity stage name should be modified as closed one. Close date should be today. So what I was doing, opportunity OP equal to select. Because there is only one opportunity, I took directly opportunity OP. If there are multiple opportunities, you have created test data. If there are multiple opportunities, you have created in the test data. In the test file, I have created only one opportunity. If you have created multiple opportunities, the code will be list of opportunity. Stage name. Right. This is how I treat. Then check the system dot asset equals OP dot close date system dot today. Did you follow this point? Now, if you assume that there is a group of records in the test data, to make it simple, I have taken only one record. If you create a group of test data, then this is how I'm going to take it. Have you got my point? Right? If you assume that, because we know we took only one record, I wrote it. If you create a list of record, take one by one record and test it. Have you got my point? Because, boss, it is a single record and a group of record. Okay, test data is always one record. You can create a multiple records, no? Question mark phase never change. Now tell me how many records are here. Pakka? Right. This logic is running on a single record and a group of records. You wrote a SQL query to get a group of records and is checking whether all the records are modified or not. Now how do you do it? Now there are a group of records, right? When the call me method is running, all the records will be fetched. All the records will be modified. Then I wrote a loop, verified whether every record is modified or not. Is that was clear? Right? Okay. Next, what is the next one? Delete operation. Delete operation. What was the method name? So, then I'm calling this. When you say show, what will happen? All the opportunities which are created today, they should be deleted. Get me all the opportunities which are created today. Then how many records should be there? Now when you say show, it will fetch all the opportunities which are created today, delete. After calling the show method, how many opportunities should be there which are created today? Right. Now after calling this method, how many opportunities should be there? There should be 0 because the show method is what? Show method says get me all the opportunities which are created today, delete them. So after running the show method, there should not be any record which are created today. If the show method is running properly, the records which are created today, they have to be deleted. If the show method is running properly, the records which are created today, they should be deleted. Then what did I do? I called show method. After running the show method, I wrote a SQL query and told, are there any records still left out with created date equal to today? I got count. If count is 0, yes, show method is running properly, deleted all the records which are created today. You need to analyze how to test it. Now what is the logic? This will delete all the records which are created today. After calling this method, check, are there any records left out whose created date equal to today? If they are left out, method is not working properly. They are not left out, yes, method is working properly. I hope you got my point. Clear for everyone? So, people are good. Shall we do one more example? You have to write. People are comfortable to watch always. Example 9.
Satish.
1 minute. Let me give use case. I'll answer you. Let me give the use case first. Where alias equal to now user don't create a dummy data. User is already there. Don't create a dummy data for user. Owner ID equal to. Then update after list. Fetch all the records which are owned by student. Update their stage name as closed one, closed date as system.today. This is my requirement. Delete after list. Now first create dummy data, then start working on it. Start doing this example, everyone. First create a dummy data. Can you write this? Is test. First, we are supposed to set up test. Then I create an opportunity. OP dot owner ID. Owner ID is very important for me because the logic is running on only owner. So I have created a dummy data which is owned by a student, right? Because the logic says, get me all the opportunities which are owned by student, then make a modifications on it. The logic says, get me all the opportunities which are owned by student, then make a logic on it. There is a reason I created a dummy data. So now you test it at the rate of is test static void then a dot. When I say a dot, call me. Then write a query and check whether there are any records which are owned by this guy. If the records are owned by this guy, then check the stage name and close it. Can you complete this example? Can you complete? So that's all from my end. We'll see you in the next session. Make an attempt of writing the test classes. That's all from my end. See you all in the next session.
Satish,
Yes.
in case I want to write a trigger and I also need to write test classes for that.
Yeah, everything. Now tomorrow we're going to discuss about triggers, batch effects, test cases.
Okay, thank you.
Anywhere Apex code is there, we have to write a test class. Okay.